instead of executing it in the same manner as it was envisioned, as it was thought that there would be a transfer of population, and as it was mentioned in the partition document, the new idea of India as a secular state and Pakistan as a Islamic state was accepted. As a matter of fact, even the Islamic state was considered to be some kind of a quasi secular state, because Jinnah said that no, we will have our minority. However, they were very clear that Pakistan was an Islamic state. But India, instead of being called a Hindu nation or a Hindu state, which was the intention around 1922, when they followed the pattern which they had implemented in Europe, eh, between Turkey and Greece, instead of doing that, they made India into a secular state where the Muslims who wanted to stay back were allowed to stay. Now, this was the second step of creating a minority, a special minority within the Hindu majority. You see, we have to be very clear what has happened in history. We only think of so-called secular state, so-called secular constitution, and we begin everything from there. But we don't see how this happened in 50 years before 1947, or 50 years or 100 years prior to 1950. This whole concept of the secular state, how did it come to be to develop? Now, this is where the issue between majority and minority became a very different kind of issue. During 1930s or 1940, the issue was whether the country should be divided or not, whether the minority can live with the majority or not. And it was decided that it cannot. Muslims cannot live with with Hindus. That's why you accepted partition. There was no idea of the secular state in 1935 or 1940 or 1950. Because if it had been there would have been no partition. If people believed, if Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi believed, if Jawaharlal Nehru believed, if Sardar Patel believed, or any other great leader of that time really believed that it should be a totally secular state, in the sense that Hindus, Muslims, this, that, everybody can exist here, as it was uh, propagated in 1950. If people believed in this in 1935, then how could there be a talk of partition? You believe that Hindus and Muslims cannot live together, and therefore there was partition. But yet, after partition, the concept of the secular Indian state was manufactured. I say manufactured, because you cannot grant 1/5 of your land to somebody on the basis that because they are of a particular religious domination, therefore they have a right to the land also. Once you grant them that, then they are obliged, then they are obliged to go and live on that land alone. They can't claim both things. They can't have their cake and eat it too. But this is exactly what happened in 47, and the Indian Constitution was made. Now, when the 1950 Constitution was made, this whole business of minority enters a phase of what is called inequality. Now, minorities are no longer minorities. Now, minorities are special people with special concessions. So, in 47, The Muslim population of India largely democratically votes for the formation of Pakistan, and only a few of them go to Pakistan. The majority of those who voted for Pakistan continue to stay in Pakistan. In India. You see, I hear sometimes many people like Owaisi and various other Islamic leaders saying that we chose not to go. Obviously, they didn't choose, their fathers or grandfathers chose. They were born here, so they had no choice. But their grandfathers and their fathers chose not to go because they wanted the best of both the worlds. And this is a fact. Because you cannot have both the worlds. If you believe that you want the land to be divided, then you are obliged to go there. This is what happened in Turkey and Greece. The British executed it in this manner. All Christians were sent from Ankara and various other cities of present day Turkey to Athens and to smaller towns uh, like Thessaloniki and other places in Greece. All Christians they came. There was a huge influx of refugees, Christian refugees, in 1925, 30, and even later. It continued for almost 10 years. And similarly, Muslims had to go out and come to Turkey. But in India, we had both the things together. We had division and partition. In other words, we gave a special concession to those theocratic Muslims who believed in the Islamic State. And we made, instead of making a Hindu state, we made a so called secular state. And within that secular state, we treated the Muslims as a minority on the basis of their numbers. And then we created a constitution in which minority shall get special rights, rights which are more equal than the majority.